Good afternoon and welcome to the Cincinnati, USA Regional Chambers Leadership Now series. Today's business briefing is focused on understanding the evolving consumer sentiment and really understanding how do we sell during this unique time. This series is an extension of the Chamber's leadership programs to help you really lead through this time, and we're glad you're here today, so thank you. We're incredibly thankful to Fifth Third for being our presenting investor on the Leadership Now webinar series. Fifth Third is truly committed to educating and inspiring all of our business community through this time. So thank you to Fifth Third for investing in our virtual leadership offerings. I'm Amy Thompson, our Leadership Program Senior Director, and I'm glad you've joined us today. Hopefully, you all have had a chance to tap into many of the resources that the Chamber is providing right now. We've had everything from a helpline at the very beginning, which was really helpful, to now we're helping businesses think about the restart. What does it look like for you to jump back into action? We have numerous resources available on our website to help you as you're restarting your businesses. So how will we work together today for this session? You all have joined us in listening mode. However, we want to make sure that this is an interactive time. You have both the Q&A where you can post questions for Philip, who will be sure to answer all your questions. We will also make this interactive in hopes that you would use our chat function as well. If this sparks an idea or something you want to share, and we may ask questions and ask you to put that in the chat as well. So at this time, pull up your Q&A and also pull up your chat. And here's what we'd like you to do to really center yourself and focus on this session. This is focused on sales and understanding the consumer sentiment. So we are going to play about 90 seconds of some music for you to take a moment to reflect and go pen to paper. Right now, we'd ask for each of you to write down, what is it that you are currently selling, and what are those some of those key benefits that you talk about when you're selling? Go ahead and take 90 seconds. What are you selling, and what are the key benefits you talk about? Go for it. If you're just joining us, please jot down, what is it that you are currently selling, and what are the benefits that you talk about? Well, thank you all for taking a moment to do that. We greatly appreciate it. I am so thrilled to have an incredibly special guest with us here today. We have Philip Stutz, the founder and CEO of Win Big Media. He's a national speaker, he's a best-selling author, and truly a leader here with us. And a special thank you to a local friend, Todd Uderstadt with Baker & Doble, who helped make this connection for us. So thank you, Todd. We love being introduced to great people like Philip. Philip's coming to us from a really neat background. He has been a part of the whole cutthroat world of political marketing. And if you can influence others, I imagine in the political scene, you can do it anywhere, Philip. So I'm excited about this discussion. He has really taken that experience to help businesses win big. And really, he's here to help all of us think about winning big today as well. So Philip, thank you for joining us all the way from sunny Florida. Hopefully it's sunny there today. And truly, I want to make sure that folks know just how multifaceted you are. You are a speaker, you are an author, you have a successful company, and you think about all those things which could keep you busy literally for 12 hours a day, which I imagine it does. But you took a moment to say, what is my gift and how can I help others or give back during this time? And that's really what sparked this project. You said, I can understand and do research and collect data to help our businesses and help leaders understand the consumer so that we in turn can help the rest of our community figure out how to navigate. So Philip, thanks for being with us. Tell us a little bit about how you gathered your data. Tell us about that process and
Sure.
really what are you hearing and learning?
Well, I'm honored to be here. Love what you guys stand for. And part of the reason I'm here is because in early March, I asked myself a question. I said, as the coronavirus is breaking out, as lockdowns are going into effect, I asked myself a question, how do I want to be remembered a year from now? And I started writing, and I wrote for about an hour. And one of the things that we have uniquely in our business is that we don't make decisions to market the clients, the corporate clients we have, unless we are following what the customers or their clients really want, desire, and are motivated to buy from. And we do that by tracking the data and understanding how these happen. A little background, and then I'll get into the methodology. I have a partnership with the largest data collection, analytics, and AI company in America, and I have an exclusive licensing agreement with them. We were utilizing them for Fortune 200 companies where we would overlay their customer data or basically their customer data to understand how these customers of theirs, what they did online, the movements, we track their movements online. It sounds a little invasive. From my standpoint, I love it because we have a chance to serve customers where they are rather than just making up a bunch of messages and hoping they work. And so what we found in that data for these Fortune 200 companies, literally, this is what Amazon uses. This is the same data platforms that Amazon uses, that Disney, ESPN, Hershey's, TurboTax, DaVita Dialysis Systems, we're talking major companies, except they're paying 6 figures to have a deep understanding of their customers. And I went to my data partner and I said, smaller businesses should be benefiting from this as well. They can learn a lot more about their customer base, their client base. It could be B2B or B2C. And there's an opportunity for these to smaller businesses to learn. And so what we ended up doing was I paid the data company 6 figures to have a partnership with them. And then I could charge what I wanted to. So we massively discount the ability for smaller businesses to do this. And we charge our clients. But before they work with us, we have to overlay their customer base online and understand what their customers, their clients, whatever it is, what they truly care about. The data will tell us what media platforms they consume in a chronological order. So if you're advertising on Facebook and your customers from our data tell us that that is the 7th performing platform for your customers, you probably shouldn't be advertising on Facebook. And so what we do is we just follow the data. So when the coronavirus broke out and I asked myself this question of how do I want to be remembered a year from now, I went to the data partner and I said, we need to understand how consumer behavior has changed with this is right when the lockdown went into effect. And so we went in and we surveyed 4,888 American consumers across all demographic levels. These are the same consumers that we had surveyed in January before the lockdown and really the pandemic had really consumed the country. And then we resurveyed them after the lockdown. And we found that the messages that we've been using in marketing over the last 10 years have radically changed. Radically. And the reason I say this is because we took the 4,888 people we surveyed and we matched it against 200 million American consumers that we are tracking every single day in our database. And we're able to model a complete understanding of the consumer base right now and how they're making decisions. Our database also tracks 600 million connected devices. We're tracking billions of online movements every day, not just what people say, but their purchasing decisions. And we have 13,000 different attributes that we put them into certain categories, and then we model that. And so we were able to find out that the messaging had changed. And I want to walk through. There are 3 messages that are converting right now for businesses that were not converting 3 months ago. And the messages that we use for most of our clients 3 months ago will no longer convert in this new economy. And let me give you a bigger, starker picture of what we are in right now. We are in an economy of need, not want. Every American consumer has opened up their wallets and opened up their budgets and said, what do I need to cut right now
Mm-hmm.
in order to survive this moment? People over the last 10 years on the backs of the great economy had said, I want this. I want a boat. I want a watch. I want to buy things, right? That no longer exists anymore. People are only going to buy for need. What do they need in order to survive? And what you as a business have to get into the heads of your customer or your client. It could be your sales teams. It could be the person answering the phone at the front desk. It could be in your marketing and advertising. But you have to answer what's in the customer's heads right now. And what used to work, which was a lot of what I would say, advertising and messaging on status and influence. Hey, look at me, look at me. I always say social media, Amy, it went from a movement to a business to a racket over the last 10 years. The movement was it brought people together. It created political movements around the world. And then they realized, the social media platforms realized they knew how to monetize social media. And then all of a sudden we started changing all of our behaviors once it became a business, where people posted on social media to show everybody how great their life is, whether it's true or not. Almost all social media posts are about look at me, look at me, look at me.
Absolutely.
If you do that now, you're tone deaf. If you do that now, no one wants to see that. No one. It's complete tone deafness. It's the same thing I tell you for your marketing. Same thing I tell you for your ads. Your marketing, your ads cannot be about, hey, buy this, you'll feel this way. You'll look great. You'll get wealth. You'll have a certain amount of status. By the way, we ran those messaging campaigns for all of our clients over the last few years, from Fortune 200 companies to small businesses and startups. So it worked because that's what the consumer wanted, and we wanted to deliver what they wanted. Those have changed. If you run an ad right now that does anything like that, you will be dead. What works right now, from the study we did, and we just commissioned and finished a second study. And by the way, everybody watching on here can download this study, for both studies, for free. There's no opt-in, there's no funnel. I'm not trying to get any of your information. You just go to winbigmedia.com, go to COVID-19 Consumer Research tab. It's on the top of the website, and click on it and download the report. It's yours for free. But what the data...
I'm going to jump in real quick.
Awesome.
I sent a note to the folks right before this, so they have access to even look at it as we're having this discussion. So
the three messages that are working are a silver lining in this weird, scary moment. I think the American value system had become completely warped. That, again, we were buying things that we didn't need, that we were trying to be things we weren't. And that's where the American value system in the economy and the purchasing behavior had become over the last 10 years. The flip is that everything that a lot of business owners have built their businesses on is now come to fruition. And if you built your business on these three messaging points, this is an opportunity for you to take advantage. And those three messages are clear. 1, you must provide and show safety in your product or service. 2, you must provide and show trust in your business. And 3, you must provide and show that you're helping others in this moment with your business. 3 things: safety, trust, and helping others. It's that simple. The American value system, the American purchasing behaviors have changed radically. I've never seen, in 24 years of marketing, I've never seen it change this fast and flip this hard. And what I'm telling everybody right now is there is a finite opportunity before everybody catches on and the race to the bottom begins. How everybody will, in a fake way, tell you how they create safety, trust, and helping others. And if you're a business that has created that over the last few years and you didn't get traction because the loudest voices in the room were the ones that said, look at me, look at me, look at me. Mm-hmm. This is your opportunity, because those people are out of business or going out of business very soon. And helping others, safety and trust. And I'll walk through examples if you want, Amy. I'll tell you how they work. You can't just scream those messages and think it works, but I'll show you nuances, a couple of examples that we're doing for our clients, if that's helpful.
It would be very helpful. As a matter of fact, what might be nice is in the chat are coming in a couple comments already on what people are selling. If others on the call would like to take a moment and put in the chat, what are you selling? And as Philip is walking through, he can also help us rethink
Sure.
about how do you reframe some of this. And here's one I would love to call out. Kurt's on the call today, and appreciate you mentioning he's leading a huge effort here regionally with the Free Store Food Bank. And really, what are they selling? They're selling stability and self-reliance.
Sure.
And that fits in exactly with what you're talking about right now.
Absolutely.
But if others want to post in the chat feature, what are you selling? And Philip can help us kind of reframe and think about how do you take into consideration safety, trust, and helping others. So Philip,
Awesome.
what examples do you have while we're waiting for people to?
Yeah, let me give you two. And again, even if they're not in your industry, pay attention to the metaphor, because you can understand how to do this in your own way. You know your business better than I do. We work with a national pest control company. When the coronavirus hit, my account team that was on this account, I went to them and I said, we have got to change all the messaging. We've got to address the coronavirus. It's really important. They went, but it's spring and bug season, and this is our biggest season for them. Why would we change that message? It always works. It always crushes. And I said, we're doing it. And they pushed back really hard, but I just felt it. And then we conducted the survey and we had it confirmed. And so we went in and reorganized their entire ad campaign for the spring and summer bud season. And here's how we did it. We said, it's spring and summer. Bugs and pests are coming into your home. You're cooking every meal in your home. You're quarantined in your home. Right now we're shifting them because the economy is opening back up and people are getting out of their house. This is how we did it initially. And then we said, you cannot afford to have rodents bring diseases and into your house, right? And you must keep your family safe, helping others, right? Using safety, your family safe, helping others. We said our technicians will come in. They'll wear a face mask. They'll wear a glass guard. They'll wear gloves. They'll let you go walk around the block with your pet so your pets stay safe. And we will make sure that whatever we do, we keep your family safe in this moment. Those ads, we just got the results back, so I'm going to look at them right now. We actually were running my team said, well, we're still going to run the spring and bug normal ad campaigns. Let's do an A/B test against it. The A/B test showed that we had a 4x conversion rate on the Corona ads versus the standard spring and summer bug season ads that we've always run for them. And we had a 47% higher conversion rate than their industry average, 47%. Why? Because when people are cutting their budgets, we made this a need, not a want. We have another company that we work with. They are an organic products company. They make organic soaps and toothpastes and deodorants. And that is a frivolous spin because it is so expensive to buy these kind of products. And so we did this huge campaign about the safety of them. I'll pull up what, I don't have it in front of me, but I had the results. But basically running on that safety, helping others, and trust built a massive conversion rate. In fact, here's what we found. We did the A/B test against high impacted coronavirus cities like New York, and in New Orleans. And then we went into low impact cities like Los Angeles, and we did A/B tests. And in the high impact states, we had a 20% higher conversion rate than the low impact states. Why is that? Because people in these high impact states understand that they needed products that didn't have toxins, that didn't have pesticides, that were clean, that would keep their family safe, would keep their immunity high. And this is how we message those companies in this time. But there's so much nuance, right? It didn't work. It worked fine in LA. It worked about average in LA, but it exploded in New York and New Orleans because those were the most impacted regions where the customer said, that's a need, not a want for me.
Philip, I appreciate that it essentially cycles back to that need that you talked about. And because on the onset, when you think about people needing to watch their spending right now, you would think they may not be willing to go for those products. So that's a really helpful lens that you're painting there for us. I have a couple that are coming in here that people are wondering if you could kind of help put a spin or a new way of thinking about it. One that came in through our Q&A is, what if someone is selling memberships? And I know that you did a fair amount of research around subscriptions. Do you mind talking a little bit about both subscriptions or memberships and any insights you have there?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty broad. So I need to know specifically what that is. Online memberships have exploded. Peloton has increased. In our first March study, Peloton had lost money over the month of March from what they had previously done. They have increased their sales by 39% in the month of April. 39%. People wanted online gym memberships because we forced their behavior to change. What we found in the latest study is that 87.25% of the American economy is buying online right now. And that includes the one demographic that was more reluctant to go online and sort of in their purchasing behaviors, and that is older Americans. But what we know is when you force a behavior for 60 to 90 days, you ingrain and embed it in their psyche from that point forward. And what we know is that older Americans now are ordering their groceries online, they're ordering food online. Those subscriptions have, those membership subscriptions, right, have exploded, whether it's Amazon Prime, whether, it's a grocery membership or whether it's a food app that they're a member of. And so those have exploded. What I'm telling you is there's an opportunity because the older generation that has reluctantly has not embraced the online economy is now fully embedded in it for the most part. And younger Americans have increased their online purchasing over the last 2 months. Here's why, Amy, it's so important for people to understand this. The economy that everybody has known over the last 10 years is gone forever. It is gone. It is not coming back. This is a new economy. It's not a new normal. We don't even know what normal is right now. It changes every month. The new normal doesn't exist. It's just a new economy. And the question is, are you positioning your company right now to take advantage of when the new normal comes into place? And let me tell you why it's a new economy for the next 8 to 10 years. Because even if you have a vaccine in the next 12 months, right? 12 months is the fastest it could get to market, because you can't put a vaccine in place and have it tested, and 6 months in, some of the people in the clinical trial become very sick from it, or they realize it doesn't work. Like, you have to let these things play out over a long period of time. So let's just say the fastest we get to market is in 12 months. Then let's say, how long does it take for 319 million Americans to be vaccinated once it's available? That will not be an easy process. It's taken a long time for the testing to get up to speed, much less, they're not even close to 319 million tests. So we're talking about a long time. And because we're in a global economy, how long does it take to get 7 billion humans vaccinated? This is going to take years, everybody. We are not going anywhere. The point after that is, let's say everybody's vaccinated. What's the PTSD on the psyche of every consumer around the world on living in this moment that we're in right now? I'm telling you, it's going to be pretty high. And so the three messages are going to stick. They're not going anywhere. From our first study in March to our second study that just ended a few weeks ago, there's no difference between trust, safety, and helping others. It's the exact same as what's converting customers. There's only one slight tweak that we found in the first study to the second study. And that is, and this has been reconfirmed in other studies out there, that the American consumer is now moving away from a globalized economy into a local economy. It doesn't mean Amazon's going away. That's not what I mean. But what we're saying is that 25% of all American consumers would rather purchase local products, local services, anything local, because why? They trust it, it's safe for them, and it helps others. It helps the local community. And so you are seeing this in media behavior. People are watching local and reading local news and watching local news at a level equal to all the cable networks combined. People are watching local news. If you combine everybody on Facebook and reading the New York Times right now, people are consuming more local news than those two entities combined. And so if you're going to talk about safety, trust, and helping others, you also need to insert how it helps people locally. And if you're a national company, because we work with Fortune 200 companies, our message is going to be highly segmented to talk about how local families are impacted by these products and services. Local just means intimate.
Sure.
And people want to buy intimacy right now because it's safe and they trust it.
Philip, it's a great point. Those are discussions that we've been having locally as well as we think about how do we want this greater Cincinnati region to come out strong. We're encouraging businesses, buy from each other, look at your supply chains. How do you support each other through this? And so that is a sentiment that is essentially worldwide and certainly national. So appreciate that. A couple other questions or comments are coming in through the chat that I'd love for you to just talk through a little bit. Grace has commented here that she sells brand strategy and marketing. The benefit is consistent strategy and aesthetic for greater success is standing out from the crowd. When you talk about strategy and marketing, if you're someone that is out selling those services right now, any thoughts on how do you tap into your kind of 3 core messages around that safety, trust, and helping others at this time?
Sure. So we just helped a large furniture chain understand this. So we took the data that we're giving away for free, and then we overlaid their customer base to understand what deeply impacted them. And we found out a few things. Their customer base, this is like what you're having in your hands, a macro viewpoint, right? So companies work with us to understand the micro. What's the difference that makes a difference within their own customer base? And I'll answer the question, but I want to give this context because I think it's really important. We found that their customer base was highly religious, and faith was a critical part of their purchasing behavior. And we also found out that 35% of their customer base was on OTT, over the top stream. They had streaming media, right? They had cut the cord on cable. Well, this company was spending all of their ad dollars on cable or on local TV and cable TV, which I'm not against, but you can be much more targeted on OTT, where I can drop an ad on an individual customer and the next door neighbor watching the same live stream show on YouTube Live or Hulu or Roku sees a different ad. So it's much more highly targeted. It can be targeted to the big TV you're watching and to your devices. And what's different for them was they had never focused on talking about how they're selling products that brings people together, that brings communities together, that people of faith come together to sit around a table and share a meal. And so the way we'll message them now is that way. So my advice for the question is, I don't really guess with my clients. I look on data, and I need to understand the customer. See, the background is I come from politics, which the first thing I ever do when I work with a politician is I say, what do you believe in? And they tell me like 15 to 20 things, all right? And I'm like, all right, you can't run on 15 to 20 things, but cool. And then we go out and this is very rudimentary, but for timing purposes of this, of our a webinar, let me just say, we'll take a poll in that district or state, and we want to understand what the voters feel. And ultimately, we find that the voters care about 2 issues that are in alignment with the politician, right? So the politician may want to talk about 10 policy issues, but the voters only care about 2 of them. And they care about them to such a degree that they will vote for that politician regardless of party, and it'll get them to victory on election day. From that point forward, I'm designing all of my marketing materials, my strategic planning, my testing of those messages, and the actual ad campaign that we run for that politician based on those 2 issues and nothing else. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so that's how I look at this on the corporate side. I love the politician, but I'm much more interested in the voter and what they care about. I love the companies we work for. I'm much more interested in the customer or the client on the B2B side. I want to know what moves them and find alignment with that business owner. Listen, I'm very proud of what I've built in my companies. But here's the deal. If I'm just running around telling everybody how great my business is, that may not be what you care about.
Sure.
I
Sure.
need to know what they care about and then find alignment in my message and their message. So the first thing I tell you is find the alignment. That is the most critical impact you can have for your clients, not trying to land new clients and trying to grow their bottom line, which is ultimately all this thing is about.
That's a great point. And it is very true that people, especially in that political mindset, will latch onto those core issues and what they care about.
Yeah.
And so as you've talked about these metaphors, I really see that being very similar for the businesses around that safety, the trust, helping others. Are there other components that you're seeing that become kind of that metaphor for business owners and business leaders of what are people seeing that are comparable to those kind of core issues right now?
Break that down a little bit more for me.
Sure, sure. So there are a number of people that will latch on to
Yeah.
they just care about A or B. I care about the environment. So
Yeah.
whoever this year, political party aside, I'm going to go for that. So let's take that away from politics for a moment and an individual consumer, but more to
Sure.
a businesses or the business leaders.
Yeah.
Are there other things that are coming up right now that are comparable
Yeah.
to those core issues
Yeah.
that we should be thinking about?
Yeah, okay, I got it. And that's a great question. It's a great question. It's not, my answer is not going to be probably what you think.
Fair
But
enough.
here's what it is. In the study we did right when the lockdown went into effect, I would say the message, those three messages were across the board. For the first time I've ever seen this, both men and women across all age and demographic groups thought the same thing. They bought for the same reasons. There was no difference. We've always seen women buy more on trust, safety, and helping others, and men buy on impulse. Shocking. This is all shocking that we buy for different reasons, right? And then men are just less thoughtful than women, right? I get it. But all of a sudden, for the first time ever, there was total alignment.
Mm,
And for the first month of all the ad campaigns that we ran for our clients, we had an unbelievable amount of success for them because you could pretty much run one message and it worked for everybody. Here's where we're seeing the changes since our study ended just a couple of weeks ago. You have to be much more segmented and targeted right now in the way you message, because in the state of Georgia, they're fully open.
mm.
In the state of New York, they're not. In the state of, in Tennessee, they're in phase 2. Some states are in phase 1. Some states, I lived in Washington, D.C. for 18 years. They're saying it could be August before they go in. It could be June, could be August. We don't know.
Sure.
It's almost, you've got to look at this geographically and where you are. So if you're in Cincinnati, great. You understand where you are. When what we're seeing is as the economy opens up, there's still consumer confidence. As weird as this sounds, with record unemployment, doesn't make sense. But no one is spending money because they've been in lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
But once we come out, when the economy opens, there's going to be a gradual spend by consumers. Why is that? Well, one, most of these consumers got $1,200, $2,400, $3,600 individual checks. In addition, a lot of these consumers kept their jobs because their businesses that they work for got PPP funding.
Mm-hmm.
So they feel safe. The stock market has had a resurgence, right? It's a semi comeback. And the fact is these, you would have to tell me about Cincinnati, but we're in phase 1 of opening in a lot of areas, right? I'm in Florida. We're already in phase 2. Just Monday, gyms opened up. Rentals started coming back 2 days ago. You can rent now. Vacationers can come back. And so that is opening up the economy. What we know is even before the coronavirus, the average American had $400 in savings. They don't save money. They're going to spend this money. So as the economy opens up, there's an opportunity for you to get your product or service into them. If you hone in on these messages, senior citizens are staying home even after the economy is opening back up. So they have a higher need for safety in your product or service, right? Younger people are ready to spend money. So you have to segment so many things out right now, whereas a month ago, you can run one message on one campaign and get everybody. And I'm not just telling you this from the data. This is what's happening to all of our clients. All of our clients are like, whoa, we've got to be much more targeted right now because every segment is going through something different.
Philip, I'd love to jump in there for a moment. So certainly a number of people on our call are B2C, but a number are B2B. So if you were break it down by segment, are you seeing any difference between how small businesses are buying or mid-size or large companies? What certainly at the beginning, I know majority of companies were, let's stop spending. Just kind of walk us through what are you seeing from the B2B, and are people starting to spend, and what does that look like?
Yeah, so it just depends. Every industry is different. What I'm telling you right now, you should absolutely implement in your sales team scripts, right? The way your sales team is selling whatever it is. So we work with a billion-dollar title company, right? Their audience or their market is real estate agents, right? They're not going to go advertise online and get a house buyer like me to go, oh, I want to work with that title company. No, I just go to my real estate agent when I do a sale and say, what title company am I using, right? So their market is the real estate industry. What we've done to position them is to tell the real estate market or the real estate agents all in their market that they'll do virtual closings. That if they have to pass off paper, that we'll wear gloves and masks and we'll make sure you're safe. If you have to do an in-person closing, we wipe down everything with Clorox wipes. We keep everything sterilized, so the environment, we're six feet apart in the closing, everything. So everything is really around safety. But safety is a gateway to trust. It builds trust. And no other title company in their region is doing this. So like if you're a real estate agent, and you're got to do a closing, what title company are you going to use in this moment? Like they may like the other title company, but they're going to feel safe and trust the one that's out there messaging to them those key facts right now. That's just one, right? We work with a telemedicine company that's selling to chiropractors and doctors. And we're saying, if you want to sell this product to your customers, you need to talk about these 3 messages. So we're helping train the doctors to sell this app on, how to have a better relationship with the doctor, right? And so we're really working with them right now on that side of that. That's just 2 B2B examples we've seen.
That's great. That's great. A couple others that have come in through the chat. And just a reminder for folks on the call, if you have a specific question or you want to post anything, feel free to use the Q&A, or certainly you can use the chat feature as well. Sabrina has mentioned here that that they are a health insurance broker and are selling trust and knowledge and service.
Yeah.
So any additional thoughts there on how to really be creative for a health insurance broker right now?
So I just did a webinar yesterday and had a health insurance person ask me the same question. So let me tell you what I told them. A way to do this is to use testimonials right now, not from you, but from people that have used your, again, I don't know the specifics, right? But for this healthcare professional, it was, I said, you should utilize anybody over 60 that feels like you've put their needs ahead of your own, that you're taking care of them, and then get it on video and put it up and market that. Third-party validation is not you screaming, we'll keep you safe. It's this vulnerable senior citizen who said he has been made to feel safe and trust. And frankly, the messaging should be about, what's so interesting for the healthcare industry to understand right now, and I've never seen this, and it is in the data, it is that people don't care less about themselves and their health than they do their family's health. And I've never seen that. Everybody in the last 10 years, everybody's always been me, and they care about their own health. But almost across the board, everybody is thinking of, I'm not worried about myself. I'm worried about my mom. I'm worried about my grandparents. I'm worried about my dad. I'm worried about my brother who had cancer 2 years ago. And so this is a way that you should also think about, how are you serving the other people, not just the people you're trying to serve?
That's a great point. You're absolutely right. There is a bit of a shift of, again, I love that you opened us up with starting to really think about what is it that we need. And there is a different level of care and concern for others right now, which is right on with your additional message of that's a key component to sell to. How are you helping others? Another piece that I'd love some feedback is Rita mentioned that she sells personalized reports. that show employees the value of their companies, essentially their benefits. This is really around the employee engagement, job satisfaction, and retention. What suggestions would you have for Rita right now to think about maybe some differences with those reports or different questions or things to consider?
So if you have value for the reports, I would show how those reports have impacted others and have others show how they've impacted themselves. You selling a service. Look, the Wharton School of Business says that 50% of all purchasing decisions right now are based on third-party reviews and validation. Think about that. Third-party reviews and validation. That's referrals. So are people you selling this, but what's another company that would be a referral for you to another business, right? I think this is a moment of referrals. If you can add referrals into your business, especially on the B2B side, from happy, satisfied customers who said, it was worth every dollar, even though our business has lost money because of the coronavirus, this is the one thing I wouldn't cut. That is a powerful, impactful message that'll convert right now.
Great. That makes a ton of sense. And, you know, there's a couple segments that I'd like to think about. Nonprofits. I know we have a number of nonprofits here on the call, and nonprofits are many times providing those crucial, critical services, and they are spending like crazy right now to help others, but the dollars may not be coming in the door. The donations may not be coming in like they have in the past. Any thoughts there on how they can reach donors in a different way?
Yeah, so I'm so glad you asked that question. This is a question I'm getting all the time. Let me give you some good news and some bad news. I'll start with the bad news. It's a really hard time for nonprofits. And if you think and expect the same amount of revenue coming in that has been in the past, you're sadly mistaken. People like to give in the good times. But when these nonprofits need money for their entire purpose is for the bad times, people don't give. The way that we work with a nonprofit where I am in Florida, we do pro bono work for them because we love their mission. They actually let me tell you their story. They help sexually and physically abused children get pulled out of their houses and put them in a safe transition home, in a safe home. And think about the amount of abuse that is going on during the quarantine.
Yes.
They are highly impacted. Their donations have dropped precipitously. And so the ads and the messaging we're telling them right now is that you have to remind these people who have money that they have it a lot better off than you right now. That there are people out there who are in desperate, life-changing, life-saving point, and that their dollars will change. And if there's ever a time that they needed it, you have to be pretty desperate in your message. And you may say, well, that's not the way we do things. Well, I'm sorry, you're going to be in deep trouble then. And so what we're trying to do is tell impactful stories from people on the front lines of this nonprofit to talk about every dollar you have helps save a child that is currently being abused right now. You think your life is bad? You think being in your home is bad and eating the same meals every night's bad? How about being sexually abused or being locked in a closet, which happened a couple of days ago, and this nonprofit went in and pulled a child out of an outdoor closet he had been locked in for 3 weeks.
Oh my goodness.
And because we're able, not utilizing names and things like that, but to tell in a general way that story that doesn't violate the law, that has impacted donations precipitously for them. It is not getting them back to the level they need. And it tells me that you've got to have there is a new way that you need to look about your budget. And you need to be very prepared for that. But in the meantime, you better be desperate in your message to get that out to the people that need to hear it.
You know what, Philip, that's interesting as people think about perspective, right? We think, oh, woe is me. But then when you hear a story like a young child, that's just unimaginable and hard to think about. And you can then compare and say, gosh, you know what? If I do have these extra dollars, I certainly would like it to go to this organization to help because I am okay.
That's right.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. That is certainly a helpful way of kind of reframing and looking at that. I know we're getting up here against time shortly, and let's start thinking about the future. What are you anticipating from the data? What are you thinking or envisioning will be happening, let's say the next 4 to 6 weeks, and even further into the future? What should we all be thinking about?
if I,
Crystal
I
ball, come on,
if
crystal
I had the crystal ball, listen, everything's changing every day. Like I said, no new normal. It's just new, right? And so we will be continuously doing these reports each month, and we'll put them in the same spot, and you can go look it up there. I do think there are a few industries that are in deep trouble right now. Deep trouble. One of them is the restaurant industry. I believe that over the last 20 years, the restaurant industry reminds me of the 2000 housing crisis and bubble. You had restaurants that popped up everywhere. There was an overabundance of restaurants. There were, and where I was living in Washington, D.C., there was a restaurant called Ham and Sherry. All they served was ham and sherry, and they're no longer around. And the reason I say this is because restaurants are going to open up soon, but even when they're at limited capacity, they can't make money if it's only 25% full. Right. And some will survive, and many will be gone forever. Mm-hmm. And so what else does that impact? That impacts the commercial real estate markets. Mm-hmm. Because if restaurants don't come back, and brick and mortar retail is another industry that is severely affected right now, then, and if they aren't all online as well, then they're not coming back. And people now have worked remote for almost 3 months, and they're used to Zoom, and they're like, why am I paying $10,000 a month for this office space when we could get temporary office space, or we could meet in the coffee shop and we can do Zoom calls all day? I'm not saying everybody, but enough. Even if it's 10% of the market goes away, that is massively impacting commercial real estate. So commercial real estate, by the way, it's a great time to, in about 2 months, it'll be a great time to go rent office space, because you'll get it extremely cheap and there'll be a ton of it out there. And the other is public transportation. People do not feel safe in public transportation right now. And the surveys that we're looking at across the board say people would rather be in a car that they trust and will keep them safe and their family safe, helping others safety and trust, than ride on a bus or a train to work. And that is going to severely impact governments collecting money on public transportation. But it also impacts the Ubers of the world, because Uber, in a way, feels like public transportation. You're in a car that's been shared by hundreds, if not thousands of people. The germs that are in there are not creating safety and trust. So I think if you're a car dealership, there will be a resurgence in the future. People are not buying right now at car dealerships. We work with a few. We understand they're all struggling right now because people are sitting on their money. But eventually people are going to make the decision that they want to buy a car and utilize a car rather than public transportation. Also, if I was Uber, I would talk about how we're keeping our cars safe and clean in the local community that you live in. And we are employing local jobs in Cincinnati, in Birmingham, Alabama, in Kansas City. There's ways that Uber could be messaging this before they're a big disruption between, the Ubers of the world and the Lyfts and all that, the ride sharing industry, because they are going to be severely impacted as well.
Philip, I'd love to jump in there for a minute. You're hitting a hot button here in Cincinnati. We have recently really focused on transportation. There's been a severe need for better public transportation to get people to jobs. A lot of younger millennials moving into town want this to be a walkable, accessible town and don't necessarily want to have cars. So what if you were in that industry and we wanted to help promote public transportation? How would you think through those kind of core messages as you try to encourage that, and knowing that this will be an area severely disrupted?
Right. So again, across the board, this is just good branding, right? Even if it doesn't directly impact people that are affected by what you're just asking about, Amy, it is good branding. Talk about the 10 steps that we utilize that will keep you safe by using public transportation. People love lists, right? The five things Cincinnati public transportation will do to ensure your safety on our rides. We'll wipe down the cars. We spray them. We use we don't use recirculated air. It's all fresh air. Like whatever it is, come up with the 5 things and put that out everywhere. Does it impact people that just want to walk to where they want to go, or people that just drive cars? Probably not, but they're going to see that and they're going to know, oh my God, those people are really taking care of our community. And it's going to improve the brand exponentially if you just come out proactively and talk about the measures you're taking. And the people that work in public transportation are local jobs.
Yes.
Yes. We employ local people. These people need jobs. We're trying to help everybody in our community. So if you're worried about public transportation, here are the 5 things we're going to do. Help support these jobs. Help support your community. Save money in this moment where you're watching your purse strings. These are the 3 things that I would say more than anything else.
That's great. Yeah, those are great suggestions. I love that. And as a matter of fact, I'm taking notes here thinking about, as a chamber, we are encouraging businesses to join and be members. And I love that idea of lists. And what a great point as we think about how do you bring that safety, that trust, how are we helping others? You can bring that to life through certainly some fun lists as well. I know we're very close here on time. So any final parting thoughts for our listeners, any recommendations or final advice as we're really trying to sell in such a unique time?
No, this is a unique moment. And the winners are the ones, I call it committed versus interested. And I think if you're watching right now, you need to figure out what you are, because the committed know that this is when you build your business. This is when you look back 5 years from now, this is the moment that you said, if I hadn't have done that, we wouldn't be 10x larger than we are today. It doesn't mean you get immediate gratification, which is hard because we're in a world now that needs immediate gratification for everything. This is the chance to build relationships, to build brand. I say it's a chance to put customers or customers into retargeting pools. So you want to get them to click on your ads, and then you want to keep delivering and building a relationship, one that develops trust. Because even if you're creating new customers or clients and you're losing other ones, figure out the lifetime value of those people. And if you're able to change the lifetime value and increase it overall over the next 2 years, you're going to come out much further ahead. The last thing I say is 99% of businesses out there are doing nothing right now, scared to death and living in fear. And the other 99.9999999% of businesses don't have what I just gave you today. And if you don't take advantage of that and you don't become committed, then you're going to miss an opportunity.
Philip, what a rich discussion today. Thank you so much. I took so many nuggets and really hope that the listeners here today also were constantly writing and thinking about, at the very beginning, we asked you to write down what it is that you're selling and what are those benefits. And I hope now you'll look through the lens of safety, trust, what are we doing to help others, knowing that people are buying out of need. And hopefully this is a time to be committed and really thinking about the future. Philip, an incredible thank you. I'm so glad we got connected. And I would also just recommend for others that are on the call, don't let the conversation end here. If you want to continue to engage and dig in, Philip, I understand you've got a great book, Fire Them Now, The 7 Lies That Digital Marketers Sell. So certainly that would be a great read for people that want to continue this learning. Also, they can visit you at your website, and I will follow up to make sure that people have resources on how to get a hold of you. Well, thank you.
Yeah, and I write every 2 weeks on all of these trends. I have a subscriber list. We've 10x'd it in the last month because of what I'm putting out. If that's something people are interested in, they can go to philipstutz.com and subscribe.
Wonderful. Thank you. Really appreciate. And I love the role modeling and example. You said, how do you want to be remembered? And I love that you will absolutely be remembered during this time of sharing your gifts and talents and insights to help others. So thank you again.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Good luck to everybody.
Absolutely. And thank you again to Fifth Third for supporting this platform. We're so thankful that they create opportunities for us to have wonderful speakers and leaders out there like Philip join us. And if you are a current member, thank you so much for joining us. And if you're a future member, please reach out. We are happy to help you both today and certainly into the future. We know that leadership and membership, being around other great business leaders, is needed right now more than ever. Hopefully you'll tune in with us in the next coming weeks and even tomorrow. Tomorrow we have a great conversation with both Elaine Seuss and Regina Carswell-Russo. It's a We Speak, finding your voice during COVID-19. It's tough when you're on all these Zoom calls. So how do you find your voice? And next week, really targeted for our supply chain leaders here in our community, we'll just have a real heart-to-heart about what's working, what's not, and how do we think here into the future. Again, Philip, thank you so much. Thank you. Truly, from all of us here at the Cincinnati USA Regional Chamber, we're all dedicated to helping everyone through this time. And as we sign off today, we're going to remind everyone, stay safe, respect that social distancing, and as we sign off today, please go wash your hands one more time. Thanks so much. Take care, everyone.